is the Diary of a Lady Band Director podcast, brought to you by the Passion Is Network.
Hello. Happy Sunday.
Hola.
Lord, we are here, Diary of a Lady Band Director, and this is episode 16. Oh my God, I can't believe. Excuse me, I'm over here belching and stuff. I'm eating like a taco, or one of those tacos with, juicy stuff, and I was trying to stuff my face. So
You mean like a burrito taco?
whatever it's called, I don't know.
Because you have to dip it. You have to dip the
I was trying
to into the juices and cook it.
I didn't want to look real dirty and trifling on the camera, being like that sauce dripping down my face, looking crazy.
Look, but transparency, I just spilled some coffee on myself. I was like, oh no.
We are here eating like a bunch of 4-year-olds. So we got some panelists coming on today that they gotta do mommy, wife, life duties, professor duties. We got some new professors. Shout out. I'm just gonna shout out before they get here so they don't get all like embarrassing stuff. Cybil Haskins, Professor Cybil Haskins, newly appointed to North Carolina Central University, her alma mater, as a professor working. I believe she's doing woodwind. She's doing the instrumental methods courses. She's teaching conducting. And that's a big move for her, but she's leaving Hillside and she's in that transition where she still has to be, band director on one end, but then move into another position. So I know that transition is a little crazy. That was me last year. So hats off to her. We have a special guest. Hopefully they'll be able to come on, Dr. Shantae Pittman, who is one of my good SAI sisters, who is joining us. She teaches vocal general music, but she is very knowledgeable in just music education. And I wanted her perspective on the topic at hand tonight. She's traveling from Memphis and she's in Bad Sale area. So she's going to join us a little later. Takenya, a road dog for life, another one of my good SAI sisters. She will be joining us, but she got to cook dinner for her family. I had to cook like at noon. So the men folk, y'all understand, man. Y'all understand. And I disclaimer before the male delegation come for me. It's a lot to be a professional Black woman and have a family and be married and have relationships and be moving up the ladder at the same time. We don't get rescued, they ain't usually we are the ones running the household. That's stereotypical, but it's still true for a lot of us. And, even my husband, he's real helpful, but sometimes I gotta be like, bath time for the boy got to start before 9, just you can't be
I'm happy I'm single with no children because, managing a family is a job in itself. Like I think about, we were talking about housewives earlier today, Krystal, about how that's a full-time job too, because you have to take care of the business of the house. You have to make sure that the bills are paid. He may make all the money, but you still manage the money. You have to make sure the bills are paid. You have to make sure everything is in the fridge. You have to go shopping. You have to clean the house. You have to manage the children. That's still a job in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And to have, for any person that has a full-time job and has to raise a family at the same time and run a household, I applaud you. This is why I'm happy I'm single and no children. One day maybe, but I like my freedom. So
yeah, and you just got to plan a little differently when you got a family. And then look at me, I'm doing a podcast and I had a meeting today, the Association Black Women Band Directors. We are incorporated. We have a nonprofit. We did it in a year's time. Got a nonprofit in a year's time with enough membership and money to make it happen. So Black women be making moves. We don't play around. We don't have time to play around, for real, for real. We don't have time to be, dropping the ball. Like, we got to do it right the first time, because we don't always get a second chance to do it again. Like, we don't get that much redemption. So, and shout out to the men folk who may be married, but they help out their band director wives and their music teacher wives. Like, my husband has graded papers before, so for real, shout them out as well. Well, today's topic, before I'm a procrastinate, because Lauren, I'm gonna give you a shot. I'll give you a shot because you want.
Yes. Let me turn my phone on.
I started violence. Okay, I started violence. Literally 6 o'clock this morning, we were watching. Me and my husband. This is some band head type shit. Like, for real. We were watching the LSU SU battle.
Good God Almighty. We have to talk about this because, since the panelists are here, I just wanted to start the show with this because guess what? We're band heads too. Like, we're all band heads here. So, in my opinion, and it's not a humble opinion, it's just my opinion, LSU, they won the battle. Now, were both bands good? Absolutely. Southern, they did Southern, but LSU was a nice, pleasant surprise. So I appreciate the fullness and the roundness of their sound. I appreciate that, and there's a lot of people on social media that are salty that others are choosing LSU over Southern. I mean, LSU hung with the best of HBCU bands, one of the best of HBCU bands. So you have to give them credit. I saw a comment that said, this demographic, the white people, they're doing something. Y'all just cheering because it's white people doing stuff that HBCUs are doing. No, I am cheering because they sounded good at what they were doing. So, you can't trap music your way through a fifth quarter. You got to play some real stuff too. Then the rebuttal, we have a book, it wasn't a real fifth. Look, that was really what y'all thought it was going to be. That was the problem. LSU came prepared. They came prepared with selections, and all the selections were great. And the responses from Southern, they're a little bit disappointing. They were just a little bit disappointing. Y'all just, I guess they thought they could just, blow with their way through. But it was actually an amicable battle. Both bands did well. But I have to give to LSU.
Well, I gave you done turned this into off the cuff already. But
what?
It was a good battle. No.
I'm trying to be politically correct, but boy, I just,
F that. We don't need to be politically correct. Yeah. Like, this is my show. We can say what we want to say. Listen, started this podcast because I wanted to be our ability to say what we want to say, and not to say like this, who gonna check me, boo? You're not running the stream. But my opinion of the battle, I knew exactly what LSU was gonna do. See, because I listen to a lot of different bands. I listen to HBCUs. HBCUs are our first love. Absolutely, they're my main boo. If I'm gonna listen to somebody, HBCUs first, and any conference. See, some of y'all are conference races. Some of y'all only think that there's only good stuff happening in your conference, and then they be these bands that small, large, whatever, they have good stuff. And even if the band isn't always my favorite, sometimes I hear music from another band that I'm like, man, I should have wrote that, especially as an arranger. I'm like, dang, I should have wrote that out. Like, that We Don't Talk About Bruno Havana mashup LSU played. I think that was Jai Hot. Like, I don't care, black or white. It was a good choice. It was a good choice. In the arranger in me, interest was piqued. That's not to say that Southern doesn't have arrangements that pique my interest. I'm gonna be honest, as an arranger, rap they don't pique my interest. Not as an arranger.
Because it doesn't have any depth. Like, especially a lot of rap music now, in my opinion, it doesn't have the depth that it needs. It just, you can, bop it down the street, and if I'm on the highway, it makes me go 90 on the highway.
Girl, though,
but
I like
you gotta,
a good ratchet.
I'm a big girl. You gotta feed me. You have to feed me real tight music. And see, LSU, they came with funk, they came with pop, they came with R&B. They showed their range. And to be honest, Southern does have the range, but what they displayed was lack thereof, in my opinion. And like I said, people like to say, "Oh yeah, we got a book." I know we all know Southern has a book. That was a time for y'all to play your book, but y'all didn't. So I just think, it's a lot of people, they're just capping for something like, oh, y'all just like this white band. Like, no, it's not even that, because, both band directors, the band director at LSU went to Jackson State, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not even that they were capping, they were trying to take our culture, but, LSU's got it. And, I appreciate it. And with the big schools, they don't do the lame things, like when they play a rap tune or R&B tune, they just go all over the place and stuff. It looked organized. It was together. They weren't trying to play outside of themselves, but they had a lot of range. I really enjoyed each section of the band.
And devil's advocate, SU stayed in there. They stayed true to themselves.
Yeah, they did.
I wish more bands, when they do have, they play somebody, especially if they're playing outside the conference, that they still stay true to themselves. We start watching people get out of their character, and then they put on a mess. I won't sit here and say that SU was trash. That's stupid. Like, SU is one of the best HBCU bands, and it's probably one of the more popular marching bands, period. I'm not even gonna put them in the HBCU box. Everybody listens to Southern. Everybody listens to Southern clips. It is what it is. But as far as like presentation goes, I don't want to hear, we not gonna waste it on LSU. LSU is a good program. Like, why can't we listen, culture? Why can't we give compliments to each other?
Right.
Like, why can't we do that? Like, why we that it?
Well, listen, it's the rivals. I like a good rivalry. Like, I was talking junk. I'm a Ravens fan, so I was talking junk to the Steelers and the Bengals, because neither one of them could score in overtime until the very, very end. But one partly is rivalry, but another part of it is just actual hate. They'll find an excuse. They'll find anything to tear another program down, and we don't want to tear a program down. And with my comments, I don't want to make it seem like, yeah, the PWI program better than the HBCU program. No, but what we can do is learn to have some diversity in our music and our style, the way we play, the way we arrange and do our field shows. Now, Southern can do a good drill. They could do a clinic on drilling all day. I'll give that to them. But they just need to show a little bit of depth, because I heard certain sections, like, they couldn't go as high as they think they could. If you can't go that high, always take it down. Or they couldn't go as low. I don't think LSU had that problem. So, and it's easy to play the rap daddies. It's easy to play the rap daddies, but
thanks, talk for the daddies lingo.
Right. But play a ballad, and play the ballad true to the ballad. Don't blow it out too. I love the Southern University power. I love the force of it. But Southern was here and out, and LSU was here. LSU brought you in. Southern pushed you away, and that's just how I feel about it.
I don't know. To me, it's jitsu versus like taekwondo. Like, they both martial arts, but
yeah.
Depending on the situation, one is more fitting than the other. Like, if I'm real close contact, I need some throws. I need to be able to toss you out the way, or I need a skill that's in your face. But if the opponent never gonna step into that ring with you, they never gonna get face on face, then maybe that's not the game to play for either band. And I'm gonna say, I think LSU did a good job. I don't think they disrespected the culture, because sometimes it can be a little coonish. Like, let's be real, you can see some cooning going on. And also, I like that Southern stayed true to themselves because they're popular, because their formula does work. Their formula works for them. So somebody try to, come for me and uncut. Listen, don't do that. Don't do that. I have way more depth than half the people who would ever say somebody. Don't do that. I'm from the hood. I've lived in a car. You can't push that. Oh, you a coon. Nah. I'm more of a G than some people ever will be, man or woman. So don't do it. Don't do it. If I say it, I can back it up. We got Takenya. Yay!
What's up, y'all?
Lamix just came from you. Said that's Southeast DC. Yeah, it is. Don't do it. The earrings come off. This go up. We'll put this up real high. Get this out the face. You're crazy. How you doing, Takenya? Well, I guess this is a good opportunity. Let me practice my script because I'm trying to be like Jay. I'm trying to have my Jay. Welcome to Diary of a Lady Band Director, the only all-woman podcast on the air that talks about everything band and music education from the view of women. As usual, we love sharing the stage with our dedicated viewers to gain more insight and encourage dialogue throughout. So if you want to share your insight, mic up using the link pinned in the comment soon and bring it. And don't be all, talking. Don't be no Facebook warrior with your little posts. I don't like that chick with that white hair. She don't know what she talking about. I don't like North Carolina Central Band ain't a real band anyway. Stop it. Stop it. You can always just not listen or subscribe. You can scroll. People don't scroll.
And that's
that's a song. People don't scroll.
People don't ever say that. They always say click the subscribe button, And I think we're the only show that I've heard. Like, no, you can keep scrolling too. I mean, it's fine too. But it really is. So
if it don't apply, let it fly. I'm just saying.
There it is.
But a hit dog will holler. Stay tuned for more Southern isms.
See, here come Takenya coming in telling everybody they peasants. That's that fam stuff. That's that peasant talk. Peasants. All right, so we're gonna kick this off with the first question. First question is, are music educators prepared for the stressors of teaching in a 21st century classroom?
That would be a resounding Hades no. Because things keep changing, things keep evolving. There's no way to stay current because current keeps changing. I'm trying to filter all these children up out of here. Like, be gone. Huh? Yeah, close the door, girl. Shut the door. Yeah. But no, the answer is no. Even though I was prepared pedagogy-wise, I was prepared, like Dr. Shelby Chipman had to sign off on my abilities as a teacher before I could graduate. Yes, I'm qualified in that aspect, but when I started teaching in the year 2000, that is not the same child that we have sitting in front of us in the year 2022. And the circumstances have changed. There's just so much more at stake. There is so much more to lose. And we need all the tools, resources, and people and community that we can get. It's gonna take the village. There's no way any one teacher can do it by him, herself, themselves. It's just impossible.
For me, no, because I feel like they taught us one thing, and we grew up seeing one, and not even just in the I guess the pedagogy classes and the methods courses. We grew up being told one thing, and then get out into the field, and we experienced something completely different. The children have changed. Policies have changed. I know Takenya would say she's been an educator since 2000. Since then, No Child Left Behind happened, And that messed education up for a whole lot of people. And then for 2 years, I was a teacher assistant for 2 years and 2 weeks. And then I got out of there because in the state of North Carolina, at the time I quit, they got rid of master's pay and tenure, I believe. Yeah, they were getting rid of master's pay. So that's where it began. It was like 10 years ago. So I saw the writing on the wall. Hey, Cybil. I saw the writing on the wall and I got up out of there because, this wasn't, teachers aren't respected anymore. It wasn't the same endearing education system that I grew up in, that I learned in. It has changed a lot. So now I don't think anybody can prepare. Just like Takenya said, they change a lot of things. They change policies, and from people who have never been in a classroom. So absolutely not.
Those actions don't be aligned, and they be like, "Oh, teachers, we love you so much." They loved us so much during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic. They loved us so much. They loved us.
You were heroes too.
Getting a Starbucks. I mean, they loved us. And now they're like, no, you guys don't know how to teach. We're going to take this book out the classroom and that book out of the classroom. We're going to scrutinize every little last thing that you do. We need to see your lesson plan for the full year.
Go off.
I'm sorry. I had to filter what was up here.
Listen, this is a hot topic because this is one of them topics that get you burning if you are a trained musician. The question is, if you just joined us, is are music educators prepared for stresses of teaching in a 21st century classroom? And I have to agree, Lauren, they moved the goalposts on our asses. Like, we're all kind of in our mid-20s. No, we are from the generation where we had continuity in band. It felt good. Our directors, I mean, they might have been stressed out and we didn't know. That's possible. But I feel like I got out of college, was like, what the hell is this? What the hell? Like that little TikTok. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I didn't know what was going on. And I came out in the meat of No Child Left Behind, and stuff that I had been trained to do as a band director all of a sudden was not best practices. And I was like, what? So now I don't feel like we prepared for half the stuff, and the administrative stuff, hell no. Had no idea.
But listen, Linda. A lot of the stuff that we do, the collaborative approach that we take when we're teaching, we always be ahead of the game. We always be ahead of the game when it comes to educational best practices that keeps the whole group moving, targeting with differentiated instruction. We always are ahead of the game because we do that constantly. It's an all-day thing as an educator when you've got multiple skill sets in front of you, but the objective is to get everybody to play and sound good at the same time. So I think a lot of times admin needs to look to us because we be knowing what we be doing. Yeah, I didn't say a whole bunch of B's up in here. We be knowing what we be doing. If they would just ask us and let us take the lead, we know how to lead, literally.
And I think the issue is a lot of admins, they don't see arts educators, they don't see music educators as people who studied their craft. And some of us, we started when we were 10 years old. I was 10 years old when I started playing. I know Takenya in her live, she was talking about how she had to sing in 4 different languages each semester. She had to do piano courses. She did the piano track. She took 2 years of music production. All these things just to go into the classroom and get disrespected. Have your degree and your experience disrespected. To be, I guess, minimalized into a teacher assistant for the core classes. So that's another thing. They don't take it. See, what we're taught in college is not what you see in the real world. It's not what you see in the classrooms. And a lot of these programs, I feel sorry for them because these are programs that are made after school. They're not made during the day. And, they have more pull-out systems instead of making band and actual class. What we grew up with, these kids don't have. So we can show them. we can tell them the whole world, but our world to them is like in the 30-minute, 45-minute increments during the day, and then a couple of hours after school. They don't see the whole picture because the whole picture is not being taught to them. They're not carving out the time during school for them to learn the whole picture.
It's like that 5 minutes on the field takes like 5,000 minutes to get to that 5 minutes on the field.
That's it.
And the continuity is missing as well. You know, when I was at the elementary level, I talked to the middle school band directors, choir directors, to make sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do with my kids, so that by the time they get to the middle school level, they more than good to go. And it was a vertical thing. Same thing with the high school level. High school talked to middle school talked to the elementary school, and we made sure that there was vertical alignment across the board, so that when they get to middle school, they're not trying to be like, what's a quarter note? No, it's like, I got time for that. It's time to play. I'm talking about what is a quarter note. You know what?
Cybil, what you got to say, man? You did what I did. I'm welcome to the club. Listen, I'm saying that because we talked about this. We talked about what we would love to do, and we made it, sis. We made it.
It's very exciting and bittersweet. Still at Hillside until the 25th. That's the day after our competition. So I'm still in that mode right now. But wow, the stuff you all have been saying, I'm feeling it. So the question was, well, I think patience is important too. A lot of times we don't have, some do not have enough patience to kind of deal with the kind of adversities that we are going to face. Some just give up right in the beginning. So I have to say patience might be one of the factors that people do leave the profession, that they don't have that patience. They thought they did. But again, in school, we weren't taught about how to have patience. We were just taught A, B, and C. So that's one thing I do think is a factor. I want to listen to some more of what y'all got to say.
I think part of what came into play for me is when I was taking the test to become a certified educator in the state of Texas, and you're reading the ABCD for the answers, there's the right answer, and then there's the real answer. You know, those are two different things. If you want to pass the test so you can become certified, you have to give the right answer. But the real answer is to call little Johnny mama and tell her to come get her baby. The real answer is to have a come to Jesus moment with some of the children and speak to them in ways that reach them. They're not all the same. Some of them, you can just give them that look. Some of them, you got to say a little something in their ear. Some of them, you can say, I'm going to call your pastor. Some of them, I went to school with your mama, so I already know her number. You have to find a way, and I think that's something that we do really, really good at for the profession that we're in. We know how to connect with people. We know how to connect with people on levels because I think as a musician, it's already ingrained in us that the way we communicate is through music. So we know how to connect on levels that other people just ain't. They're not with it.
Tag on to that. When it comes to the social emotional health of ourselves as teachers, there isn't an education class. Let me know, somebody tell me, but there isn't an education class yet that I've seen in college. Now I teach it, that is about us in maintaining our mental well-being. Listen, think about this. Police officers have it. Firefighters have it. Most public servants, anybody in the medical field, they have interventions when they lose a patient. They don't just throw them back on the operating table. They have interventions for these people because they experience trauma. And what I think happened with stressors, it's not just stress. Stress is stuff. Stress is my son ain't do his homework or didn't write it down. And now I'm trying to think, is he going to do his homework while I'm on this podcast, or am I going to get off and he's still going to be like, that'll stress me out. I got a proposal due midnight. That's stress. This is trauma, y'all. This is trauma. You go in a classroom and you got a kid who has emotional issues and tear that MFer up and throw all your books on the floor, your instruments across the room, and you can't do nothing. Powerless. Teachers, they can't say the wrong thing because somebody recording. They can't yoke the child up. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If it was my son, abilities, disabilities or not, there would have to be some physical interaction to keep him from hurting himself and him hurting others. We can't even do that. That causes trauma. And then you go right back in. They won't even take a kid out. They won't even relieve you of your teaching duties for you to get yourself back together. They will throw you back in that fire. And then day after day, principal won't come check in on you. You might have a good teacher friend that might. We don't have no interventions for this level of trauma we deal with every day. And think that this teacher shortage is going to slow down? Man, people crackhead crazy. You crackhead crazy. I don't know.
So I have a question for y'all. So I feel like, this is just me, I feel like in lower income communities, minority communities, the game changes a lot faster than it does in majority communities. Do y'all feel that way? Like because I feel like they have more freedom to do what they want to in that community than music teachers at what they call at risk. I just, it just feels disjointed. Like they don't know anything that music educators in at-risk communities, what they go through. It was just a question I wanted to pose. I know we have other questions, but to me, it just feels kind of disjointed, and that we need to address it as well.
I think it's a lack of resources, plain and simple. We don't have the same resources. We don't have the same money. And when you have a lack of anything, then it does seem like it happens faster because there's no interventions. There's no buffers to stop it sooner. There are no interventions. It's a lack of intervention and resources for me. That's all I got to say.
That's by design. That's by design. That's structural and systemic. We already know that. And we've been putting stuff together with spit and grit and spit and grit and spit and grit for the ages.
Hasn't that become our badge of honor, though?
Does it have to stay that way, though?
Absolutely not. But it's become glorified. It's kind of like the strong Black woman. It's glorified as how you should be, instead of saying, why does she have to carry so many bricks on her back?
That hustle mentality will kill you. That hustle. Oh, every day I'm hustling. What's that?
Well, we gonna make it.
Yeah, I'm not about that life. Let me tell you, I am not about that hustle mentality as a long-term approach to seeing the kinds of gains that I want in my life. I'm not about that. So that's leading up to why I may have left the classroom.
I'm muted. I like that segue. That's the segue for me. I like it. So the question is, have you ever quit a music-related job or gig? If so, why? I see what you did there, Takenya. And Cybil, I'm starting with you because you're not gonna just sit there and breathing God's air and all cool. No, you could do you. I think this is a good question to toss your way, though. You could toss it back and be like, damn it, Krystal, I said I was listening.
Come on, Professor Big Sister.
Have you ever quit a
wow.
job? It's tough.
I actually have never. I've never quit a job, and I'm like the person that'll try to make a way out of nowhere way everywhere that I go, even though I already know. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. If I don't have what I need, I just try to make it happen because I'm there for the kids. So I might have wanted to, but I never have. I'll say that.
Make it happen for the babies. And what you did is not quitting. See, people confuse the two. You promote, that's a promotion. To me, that's a promotion. That's not quitting. Quitting is I'm gonna go file taxes for the rest of my life. Like you still in the field and you went to your alma mater. Anybody else? I'm gonna go last.
But I must say also that quitting would be leaving the same day, but I'm fulfilling 30 days notice as well. So I'm still over there doing it and still feel like I'm the director. I need to, get my mind right because I haven't even really, it's time to move on to the next thing. So
I left and I didn't quit. I resigned because words matter, right? I left. I have been an educator for some 20 plus years. That's something that won't change with me. 20 more years from now, I'll still be an educator. You can't, just because I'm not in a public classroom Monday through Friday, that doesn't mean that I'm not still a music educator. And I transitioned to something else where I still get to be a music educator, but on more of my terms. And why I left, in part, some of the reasons, because I was kind of chuckling to myself, Krystal, when you were speaking earlier, because you were talking about trauma. And I was chuckling to myself because part of my training as a soldier, I'm a veteran, part of my training as a soldier, when you go to basic training, you learn combatives level 1. That's where you learn like self-defense, one-on-one, you working with somebody under the sun, everybody getting real close to the funky parts of each other because it's the Army. In the training that I did for level 1 combatives, there was a workshop as an educator that was like, and here are your self-defense things for when the student be popping off. Here I was like, wait a minute. Why Army stuff trickling over here to teacher stuff? And that's part of it. Now, and I will say I also had more freedoms in the Army than I did as an educator in the classroom. As an educator in the classroom, I had to train my bladder to only work during certain times of the day. I had to train the parts of the things that help me be a fertile producing woman to do, you can't put that stuff on command. You can't. I'm going there with y'all. But in the Army, I could choose to put a stop to those monthly visits. I had the control there. In the Army, I could still go tinkle if I wanted to. It may have been in the woods and I may have had to dig a hole, but I could go. So the training that I had in the Army, when that started showing up and what I had to do in the classroom, because we on lockdown again, the dog that's out there in between the portables is chasing everybody again. The homeless people are leaving their remnants of their escapades all over the outside, or my classroom's been broken into yet again. You want to talk about being sick and tired of being sick and tired? Part of the cherry on top for me was as my children got older and they started having functions, I would get written up because I'm attending the stuff for the children I had. I've been here serving other people's children all day. And now you're telling me that, yeah, it's in your contract that you have to stay for parent-teacher conference. I stayed up until it was time for me to go to my kids' stuff. Or the fact that every time I had a child, I lost money. That's not cool. All these sacrifices I'm making with zero return, it's time for something different.
This question's very interesting for my situation right now, because I left education 10 years ago because, like I said, when North Carolina, I saw the writing on the wall. That's when everything started to happen between them capping the pay and not doing master's pay anymore and getting rid of tenure and all these other things. And I left for the government because I thought the government would pay more. In North Carolina, no, but federal government, yes. So did I leave a music gig? I'm actually going towards the fire. I'm actually going towards the music gig because I will be teaching private lessons in a couple of weeks for the first time. So yeah, I'll be doing that. And also I'm a performance major. So yeah, I am going to fulfill these things. In the classroom, I'm not sure yet because things are pretty, it's very uncertain. Things are pretty uncertain. Like Takenya said, I'm glad she mentioned it. I want to do things on my own terms. If I'm going to do anything in the field of music, I want to do it on my own terms. I think I would be better at private lessons than in a classroom with a whole bunch of different personalities and not even with children, but it's the administration and the politics I probably couldn't handle. So yeah, I'm running towards the fire. As far as a music gig, I just became the principal clarinetist of the Johns Hopkins Concert Orchestra. I auditioned and I made it. So like I said, I'm running towards the fire. So I'm doing the work quietly, but I'm doing it. So it's a career change. It's a life change for me. And pray for me as I go through this because, oh my God, I'm going to say this. I'm disappointed in the way the education system turned out after I grew up because I wanted to be a teacher while I was a child. And now it's just like, it's very undesirable to be an educator, and not because of the children. It's because of the mentality around teachers, that teachers have to do everything. You got to raise their child. You got to teach them life skills and stuff. You know, they want you to be a glorified babysitter for their children, for their children, when education encompasses all. It starts in the household. You know, in other countries, when the teachers walk in the room, the students stand up like they're a judge in court. You know, and I wish education was revered the way they revere it in other countries. So, you know, I'm a little discouraged by that part, but at least I know I can do my part in like giving private lessons and performing and hopefully inspiring. If a child or if a student sees me, you know, hopefully I can inspire them to pursue a career in music.
Lauren, it's so much fun on this side because I left the classroom and entered the world of private lessons. Join me. It's so much fun over here. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes. Oh yeah. I'm going to pick your brain. Krystal's too. I'm going to pick everybody's brain. And Cybil too.
Everybody's brain about to get picked. Oh man. I'm the only quitter on the oh, it's lonely being a quitter. Listen, I quit. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna sugarcoat. Well, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I quit. My very first year. No, was it my first year teaching? Now I'm starting to. No, it wasn't my first year teaching. My first couple of years teaching, first 3 years teaching actually was going well, even without resources, even without a lot of stuff. Like my first 2 years was in Cherry Hill, Baltimore. Yeah, I started out in the paint. I got mine from the mud. If you don't know anything, you just say Cherry Hill to somebody from Baltimore. They be like, ooh, like I say it all the time. And like I taught at Cherry Hill. They be like, and you lived. I loved them. I loved my
the ghetto. I know you love your students.
Cherry Hill. I still talk to a lot of them. Like a lot of them, like they're adults now. Married is crazy to me. And a lot of them are successful adults. They're functioning adults. They're not struggling through life completely. Like they're living average everyday lives. But I loved it out there. And I wanted to stay out there, but we lost funding for I was hired as one of those conditional teachers for a special program, and we lost funding. And the director was even like, I'll cut my salary in half to keep you. And I couldn't, in good faith, let that person do it because they were one of those people that was in it. It's not like people running to Cherry Hill at the time or any time. They weren't running to Cherry Hill. So I just felt like this is the perfect opportunity for me to go get my degrees. And that's what I did. I went straight back into degrees, and I went straight forward. I got 2 masters at the same time, two at the same time, like crazy full time. I think I took 27 credits between August and January. So 1 degree I actually graduated in a year. But fast forward, came out certified. So I tell people, like, I understand the alternative certification tracks. Mine was only because I needed to teach those reading and the content classes they threw at us. See, they moved the goalposts. I had passed praxis. I had taken the education classes, and then they were like, nah, you need these education classes. I was like, I'm gonna get a master's for all this school. And that's what I did. But I got out and I started working at a charter school. I'm gonna speed this up. Let's just say that the charter school started without rules, regulations, and a code of conduct for students in Baltimore. We know how that went. It took the kids about 2 or 3 weeks. I asked at the PD before school year started, I said, what's the code of conduct? They said, we have restorative practice, and the kids, when they do something wrong, we're going to sit them in a room and they're going to talk about what they've done wrong. That face, all of y'all made a face. 2 weeks, they were burning the school down. When I say burning the school down, literally every other day, somebody was trying to set that joint on fire, y'all. It was crazy. And so I'm having band, and I had some fire trucks outside, y'all. I don't have no phone in my classroom. I'm old. I don't have no phone. I'm the band director. They put me in the back upstairs of the school where nobody teach, nobody go. Hall monitors used to be on their phone downstairs hiding in the bathroom. You know how that go. Because it's chaos. And I'm teaching. I hear fire trucks or whatever. Guess what didn't work on my side of the building? The fire alarm. The building is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the fire. Okay. That's basically what it was. And so I look outside, and the whole school's outside, and I'm having band. That was red alert. So I reported them to the union. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then there was some other stuff. The school day was longer, but our contract said 7 hours. They was keeping us for 8.5. And I was like, y'all know this wrong. And I wasn't that young and dumb. I was like, I'm looking at the sign-in book. There's no way this is adding up. Where them extra hours at? And so a fight broke out in my classroom. The high school, it was one of those 6 through 12 situations. The high school, a high schooler came to band to fight a middle schooler. They weren't even supposed to be, quote unquote, allowed to get on that side of the building. But I told you, hall monitors were in the bathroom on their phone, hiding. And so kid come rushing in like a whirlwind. I'm like downbeat. And next thing I know, they start wailing on the trombone player head. Trombone flies up, hits me in my ear. Now, as a musician, you know that. And immediately I had, like what you see on TV or Takenya, you'll understand that ring where you're deaf. And that was like, I felt my whole career flash through my eyes. I said, I'm deaf. Like, because it hit me right in the eardrum. And had like blood coming out the side of my ear. Nobody comes down. I try to get the kid. I tried to get the kid, out of there by going to the hall and kind of like, hey, hall monitor, somebody come get this. Because I'm smart enough. I ain't gonna put my hands on a kid. Other people will, because that's the number one way you could get fired. They'll say you manhandled or whatever. So I'm in the hallway. The kid runs by me. I just got engaged. They ran by me and brushed across my engagement ring. True story. You know what happened? They ran, they said, ow, and they kept running. So I go to the medical center. I still can't hear. This is like 3 hours later. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up to do. And it wasn't even that. It was a lack of management on my end. Like, we're not talking like the kids were crazy in my classroom. Somebody who wasn't supposed to be there got in. And so they go through the thing. They gave me some stuff in my ears or whatever. I start to get my hearing back. I'm a little more relieved. I go home, you have the medical leave, the situation, whatever. I get a call as soon as I get home. But I looked at it. I didn't recognize the number. So I was like, whatever. Then I tried to show up to work the next day. See, back to that. We got to be there for the kids. And I got met at the door by the principal who was like, I don't feel safe with you in the school with my kids. I had a DJS case. So I believe people when sometimes it ain't us hitting kids. Like I was sitting there crazy. And DJS called me. That was the number that I did. They was like, someone filed a junction against you about a child abuse. Because remember, I told you I called the union on them about them hours. So there's the retaliation. And I sat home for 6 months. 6 months. The next day, the union, whatever, the union lawyer chimed in. The union lawyer chimed in. And then I got a call from the judge. And the judge told me on the phone, I'm throwing this out. Because in all of my 30 years, I've never seen such a ridiculous case. The parents are not trying to file no charges. They said that wherever the scratch came from, you never came in contact with the kid. We done already called every student in the classroom, and nobody in the class has said that you put your hands on the kid. We're going to throw it out, but it's going to take a few months for it to completely get wiped off of your record. So I quit on a Tuesday in March. I said, if this is what we got to do with, and I sat home and I was kind of miserable for real. I was kind of miserable, but it was cool. I did go back to the classroom. I did stay, and I have never left a classroom situation, no matter how bad it was since. But I learned how to protect myself on any level. So yeah, I have quit. I walked out on a Tuesday. When I got that call from DJS and they was like, well, we want to expunge it, but it's going to take 6 months. So that means you can't apply for a job. Because y'all see that little box on them applications. Are you pending investigation? I had to say yes. So I walked. That's my life. That's the story I'm sticking to. I don't consider that quitting. I consider that self-preservation. So
it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair because it got to the point for me that I had been physically accosted so much so to the point where I was like, you know what is the law? What does the law say? What does the law say? And so I researched what the law says to make sure that my actions were lining up with the law. And the law says that essentially, and this is like straight up paraphrasing, this is not a direct quote. I am not an attorney. Don't take advice, all the other kind of, disclaimer. Okay. The law essentially said that when those kids are with us, we are their parent. We're operating in the capacity of their parent.
Loco parentis. That is the law.
And then it goes another step further because I was like, look, I'm tired of these little kids putting their hands on me. And they ain't like giving me black eyes and dot me up like that. But, they're having moments. They're having moments. What I learned is whatever was done to me, I can go one step further with them. Just one step further with them. I'm not saying shake a child, knock some brains around. I'm not talking about that. Please don't mistake what I'm saying as like an advocate, like me being an advocate for violence. Choose violence. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes you really have to move in certain ways to protect that child and to protect the other children who are there. And that does mean that sometimes, yes, you may get caught in the fray. Now, there are some teachers who choose to go about it a different way. They don't want to involve themselves physically. And so they would say, stop, Jarius. Well, I told them to stop. That's their level of intervention. Do what makes you feel comfortable with what you keep a job. Because these streets, I don't know if y'all seen the video going around here right now on Instagram where this child is throwing chairs and he like goes around the entire room.
It was a little girl. It was sad to watch because she was going around the room just throwing stuff, and it was like the teacher couldn't do anything about it. Nobody could do anything about it because there's some other issues that the child is dealing with that unfortunately, that to be honest, that's above the teacher. Like that's some intervention type thing. But yeah, I know what video you're talking about.
That's crazy. I've had a kid throw my bass drum off the stage in a tantrum because, you know, it was mentioned earlier about demographics and things changing faster, but you got to think about like broken homes and children who are neglected and who are not taught the proper way to handle their emotions. And we are now expected to be these experts, psychologists, trained resource officers, trained occupational therapists, trained special educators. I have a special ed stamp now, and I got it because of the situation. Like it put when I was in getting my third degree, I said, let me get an extra stamp so I can have a better understanding of what the hell is going on in these classrooms or even my classroom. It was a selfish move. It wasn't that I wanted to be a special educator, and I still don't. But I was like, half of my babies are receiving support services. I got CPI trained on restraint. So if something happened, I could show a little card. I had to get my butt beat by two chicks named Bertha and Gertha. You know how they gonna, when you get those type of trainers, they gonna do it to you so you know how it feels to be restrained. And I was like, I don't want to do this to nobody's child, but thank you for putting me on my ass, Bertha and Gertha. But as far as like quitting, sometimes you just out of options. And I felt like I was out of options. And I didn't have those protections to keep me near to the cross. I was gonna kill somebody.
I had to tell myself I'm too pretty for jail. That was kind of what I was saying. I'm too pretty for jail. I ain't going. You know, I can't. Now I cannot. I can't. CAINT. I'm gonna let this Texas hang with y'all today. I cannot.
So, this leads me to the next question. And first of all, let's get some of these likes up, y'all. I see it's a couple of us on here. If you just came in, thank you for being part of the conversation. Hit that like daddy, hit that subscribe daddy, share this joint, because these new educators, these new music educators, they need to see this. And I'm adding my other good sis in music, Jennifer, to the talk. She got the Panther paw up.
Oh, sorry, y'all.
Girl, you good. I feel it might be perception. You know, sometimes people say we play the race gender card all the time, but it's called Diary of a Lady Band Director. So anyway, does race or gender play in the attrition rate? Like, do you think like certain races or genders, like I feel like I hear a lot of brothers say that they not gonna teach because they can't do it. Like I don't have a patient, but it kind of hurts because we need more. Like it's like some of these little babies need a 6'3" standing staring at them down like a clock tower. Because I'm 5'3" I'm 5'3", like, and you know, I teach high school, and sometimes it's unfortunate, like size does matter. Like there's still a archetype in our society that says respect man. And then for some of our kids who have trauma, they look at us like mom. And mom might be a drug addict. Mom might neglect them. Mom, and I feel like sometimes we get that back. Just the same, I think, for the brothers. I think they sometimes get that my dad ain't here, and so I don't like men. Like, I wonder how much of that plays into people quitting, basically. I don't know what y'all think.
Based on my brief internet research.
Brief? You were researching while I was talking?
Yes. My brief internet research tells me that the causes for teacher attrition, number 8 is the lack of teacher input and feedback. Number 7 is poorly designed professional learning environments. Number 6 is the lack of admin support. Number 5 is the lack of prep. Number 4 is inadequate compensation. Money's not number 1. Number 3 is poor working conditions. Number 2 is high workloads. And number 1 is stress. So there are several stressors that we have being multiple minority, even though that word minority, I don't subscribe to that because it's more melanated people on this planet than anything. I don't subscribe to that
I hear
belief.
you, sis.
Yeah. So stress. So I know I feel stress being a Black woman. Do you feel stress being a Black woman? With that alone.
What they had that gif of that fighter, UFC fighter, where he says till this day, you know. Yes, till this day, every day.
But you know, going back to like gender, you were talking about does gender play a fact in nutrition? I know gender plays a role, especially for our Black males, our Black boys to see Black male teachers. I know that plays a role in like elevating college aspirations for both genders, or both and or in the multiple designations of genders, because I don't want to exclude any group of people. So having a Black male teacher helps. And if you look at some studies, they will tell you that female, and yes, I am using the term female. I hope I'm not offending anyone. Women teachers tend to be better teachers, according to some studies, in my brief internet search.
That's interesting. I'm gonna go there because I've only taught in urban situations up until this year, and even still, my situation is urban anymore, but it's still low economic, even though it's smack dab in the suburbs, because we don't think the two can exist. Like, I teach in Hyattsville, Maryland. Hyattsville, Maryland looks wonderful and it is suburban in look, but not necessarily in income. But I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna talk about the Teach for Americas that were sent into urban situations and the white savior syndrome that came along with some of the to be honest, the white cisgendered female teacher. And more times than not, I think they're not ready to be in an environment that they don't know culturally. And kids, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a hood kid, so I can talk about us because I was one. Hood kids will eat you alive. We'll eat you alive. We will skin you, fillet you. And the Teach for Americas, there's some teachers that stayed in it, but it was a 3-year contract, so it didn't even have it wasn't even saying that they wanted to stay. It was, come teach for 3 years, we'll pay your school loans and we'll give you a good starting salary. And man, those the ones who be crying in the teacher lounge. Let's just say it. Even with me getting hit in the ear, them kids ain't see me shed a tear. You know, I had that already bet look, but them kids ain't see me like flake out, go in a corner, cry. Cause I was like, man, you know how many times I got in a fight on the playground in the hood in Southeast DC? I was a fighter. I was a little feisty when I was younger. I would fight. So I was like, this, all right, you got me. My ear ring a little bit, but you know, catch you outside. No, but for real, we know who be crying in the teacher lounge sometimes. It's the people who don't look like the children they teach. Say that. Just say that. And Lauren, you know, I'm gonna talk about, you had a band director who was the typical stereotype of that. You muted.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute. First of all, hello, Jennifer. Secondly, yes. And it's unfortunate because she was the only woman band director I've had. Oh my gosh. She used to. So in my middle school, we had probably the best performing arts program in Baltimore County. We had a full orchestra. We had concert band. We had 3 bands. We had concert band, symphonic band, and wind ensemble, with wind ensemble being the top band. And she was in the second band, the band in between the symphonic band, the concert band and wind band, the symphonic band. And she cried on the podium. She we went to music in the parks, and the orchestra got first place, one ensemble got second place, we got seventh place, and she just cried and cried and cried. And the thing is, like, it was a very diverse school. Like, it wasn't even that she was working with kids that didn't look like her, but she was just ineffective. And it's the woe is me. What I don't like is the woe is me educator. Educators go through a lot, no doubt. I'm not even going to take that away from educators, but at the same time, the woe is me educators, if you don't like it, you can always leave, always looking for, I guess, some type of concession to not do your job or have a reason why you can't do your job. Well, if she had the resources, she had them. She wasn't like we didn't have the resources. She had them. She just wasn't good at her job. So there's that.
Jennifer, I don't know. Do you think race or gender? Do we see more of certain folks in certain places calling it quits? Or I don't know. I think right now everybody just said, okay, they ain't throwing their hands up. Okay. I don't know. What you think, Jennifer?
I think that people just tired. And when they tired, they just tired. Like, I mean, I've always taught in quote unquote low income areas, except for Fayette. I'm lying. Fayette was not. We were a Title I school, but if I asked, the kids paid $150 in band fees. We went to cross country trips. Like, they paid anything I asked them to do. So it was like not stressful as far as financially, but it was a stressful job as far as like maintaining everything with one director. I think if we would have had adequate help, and especially in middle school, like I think middle school directors burn out a little bit quicker because the high schools get assistants way faster than middle school can. Like, it's hard to justify middle school assistants, or they assume or make middle school teachers be the high school assistant band director. So not only do we have to do all of our work, we got to turn around and come to do yours. But that's just help you with yours too. So I think that burnout happens a little quicker in middle school. And also we do teach beginning band. Like, we have beginning band. And if you're like me, you want a big band. So I always have like over 100 beginners by myself. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's like dog years is what I tell my people. Like, middle school band is dog years. This is my 10th year. I feel like it's my 30th. But I do feel as though I could not teach in a different environment with kids who don't look like me. I feel like I won't be as effective. I will say that. Like, I kind of am in that situation now. It was kind of a culture shock, but the kids are all the same. No matter where you go. People always say, well, my kids are kids are kids. They do crazy stuff no matter what school you're at. But I will say that some of these schools, I know I would not work well there because of just the privilege and the parents and what they would expect from me and how they expect me to respond. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know I would be ineffective in some places, which is why I don't even apply to those places. But anywho, when Hurricane Katrina hit, we had a bunch of Teach for America teachers down here in the Gulf Coast. So I did see a difference in the instruction. And that was my senior year. I saw a difference in the instruction. They were just like keeping us there so we can graduate and get a hot meal. It was just literally, I didn't have a black male teacher. I had one in 7th grade, and then I had no more till I got to FAMU. So I had one. Yeah. And then I had, like, I could count on one hand how many black women I had. So, and the school was majority minority, quote unquote. So we didn't have that many. The black school across the street, across the railroad tracks, had all of the black teachers. They took a lot of pride in hiring us. You know what I'm saying? They just had a lot of pride in the school. Like, their pep rallies would be like more. I just see they have more school spirit and pride within themselves than I do. Like, I don't have to go home to my homecoming and say, "Oh my gosh, my high school homecoming." Whereas they're like, "This is my home." You know what I'm saying? Like, the students feel a different level of pride. The teachers stay because they teach their kids, they teach the parents, they teach everybody. Like they have an older faculty than we do. Like the turnover rate isn't as big, but shoot, some of us just tired. Like I just don't think burnout. I think if a teacher looks for a job, they should definitely do their research first about the area and about the demographics. Some of us just want jobs, just hurry up and go get one. You know what I'm saying? And you get one and then you're like, oh crap, this isn't what I thought it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Your job is not going to be like your internship. They're always going to put you at really good schools or really established programs. There we go. And you're not going to be in those places where you most likely will have a job. So yeah, that's my thing. Like every time I got an intern, I would say, this is not real life. Don't look at this program and think this is what your life is going to be like, because it's not. All right. You're most likely going to have to build this, and it's possible, but it's going to take time and a lot of tears at home away from your kids and a lot of liquor.
Oh yeah. I just found out today you can buy alcohol after 12 o'clock around here on Sundays. I thought, yes, saved. But Jennifer, back to what you were saying about kids are the same. I wholly agree with you there. I think what the difference is the amount of support these children receive, the amount of attention these children, like support makes the difference. And when I was able to go back into the same neighborhood that I grew up in and teach children who look just like me, that made a world of difference. But I was coming with more knowledge because I was around a whole bunch of Black people that wasn't nothing like me at FAMU. We're not just a monolith. So it was learning that, oh my, I didn't know Black people existed on these levels. The variety, the sheer volume of variety was shocking to me. And a little girl from a small town of, Dallas, you may have heard of this small city. But it was shocking for me to see that we existed on all these different levels. So I was able to bring that back to Dallas and show these children that, baby, we can do everything. We can do everything that we want to do. I don't have all the answers, but let's see what we can figure out together. Yeah, admin may be busting my head to the White Meat Show because we want to have a talent show, but they want to have a kindergarten roundup instead. But guess what? We're going to keep pushing. And I think that's what the kids see in us. Like that fight don't go. We be fighting for them. And they know that. Kids are smart. They know people. They come with this level of discernment. They know. You ain't gotta say, well, I'm just here for you guys until the bell ring. They gonna know. You ain't gotta tell them. They gonna know.
I agree with that because I kind of got like a 3 on I usually get we go to 4 for our evaluation. And I had my informal evaluation last week. And I had to take a day off of work because if I would have went to work the next day, I probably would have fought myself. But anyway, I hope she ain't watching. No, she probably not. But anyway, either way, girl, you make me mad if you're watching. She told me that I established positive environments. My lesson plans align with what I got going on, all that good stuff. But I need to do more with setting the.
Setting the what, girl? Setting what? Say it again. You gotta be.
Devil done froze her.
Yeah, your internet
girl, that
doing out.
If admin said,
Oh, damn.
That admin got you back for whatever you said.
Dang. I always say that I always felt like this a ministry. I feel like the devil came straight for Jennifer. Was like, look at the poor baby stuck in time.
Stop telling the truth. Stop telling the truth.
Telling the truth, shaming the devil. I don't know. I agree with her though. I've been mad off her observation. I think that I don't know. I hate to whip
you. They will pencil whip you on the eval.
Yeah, they'll pencil whip you and that make you want to go. That joint make you want to slam. That joint make you slam, wanna just call it quits. You got frozen.
Now say what now? What you say, Jennifer? Girl, what you say?
What did
you say how the devil stopped it? The devil stopped it. But I'm gonna keep going. You can't block me.
Yeah, it was somewhere right after you said something about the admin, and then it went out.
Right. So no, like she gave me a 3. Okay, I've never had a 3 ever. Okay, ever in life. You gonna give me 3 points, something? Because you can say it's room for growth, but you're not gonna 3 me, boo. But anywho, can y'all hear me? Okay, so she gave me a 3 because she was like, you need to help with the whole with the school culture more. I was like, that's not my job. My job is to work with the band. My kids, okay? I teach a third of the school. In the school grade went up an entire grade. We went from a C school. Well, the first year I got there, we were like a D. The second year I got there, we were a B. The third year we got there, now this is my 3rd year, we are B. Okay, so clearly we got some things going on, and I teach a third of the school. So she was like, I need you to do more with school culture. I was like, what more can I do? I said, they'd rather spit in your face than try me. And when I said that, I was in the office for like, I said, but it's push the door, baby, push it. Push. Baby, lock
the door, baby. You got it. You got it. You need to go open the door for her. You gonna try and let her figure it out.
I just couldn't let her sit. Now she left. But no, I told them, like, what do you want my job to be? Because I do what you asked me to do. Now you think that I'm the savior. I'm not an assistant principal. Now, if you want me to do that, then you can give me those coins. Like, burnout also happens with us having to put on more hats than what we're contracted to do. Okay, you just told me the weight of the entire school is on my back. No, that's your job. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask me to do something like that. Don't ask me to do something like that, because that's absolutely absurd. So if you come and she's not African American, by the way. So, but the way I speak to the kids, she tries to go and do that, and they're not gonna respond to you the same. I can say, sit your hind parts down. And they're going to sit their hind parts down. Stop, Tori. Stop. She says, sit your hind parts down. What's going to happen? I'm going to tell my mama. My mama going to come up here and go off on you. And this. She can't do that. I was like, you don't have that same relationship. You know, you cannot possibly think. I just don't get it. We got to have more people that's of the community coming back. Like, we should have more people that want to come back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm back where I went to school. So I'm teaching my friends' kids at this point. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I know your mama. You know how much leverage that is? I know your mama. I graduated with your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just really have a problem with how they treat coaches and band directors when it comes to discipline and instruction, and that leads to burnout because it's more weight on our shoulders than what has to be.
I had to go ahead and drop the question because you all in it. So, what factors contribute to the most to a music teacher quitting? I think you just exposed one. We get dish rag. Basically, we get dish rag. We do a great job, and then they want us to do a greater job than the greatest job that we've ever done with impossible situations, like you're saying, like, and then you take me on my observation because you're trying to squeeze more water out the rocks that we are. The rock get tired. The rock be like, listen, there ain't no water in here. What do you want from me? I ain't got no more. So stop it. So I think you just exposed. I don't know if you were doing it on purpose or not, sis, but yeah, those evaluations will make you want to go in there postal. Because it be messing with your money. Like, stop playing with my money. Y'all already know. I had a principal I had one good principal outside of the one I have now. I had one good principal, and they didn't stay long because they got in trouble. You see how that go? But that principal was like, I'm giving everybody 4s. Every day you show up for these babies and you doing the best you can. I know it affects y'all pay. We can have that conversation in the office about what I need you to do better or what I see you improve. He said it. He said, everybody's getting a 4 as long as you doing your professional responsibilities for these children, showing up every day and showing them that you love them. That was the first and only time I ever had an administrator say, it's what we're really asking is unreasonable sometimes. So the fact that you show up and do it anyway, you making the culture better by itself. And everybody liked working there until he was gone, to be honest, until he was gone. But I think you exposed one thing, Jennifer. That thing. Who butt dialing?
It's not me.
One of us butt dialing. We be butt dialing in our own chat while live. This is funny. But I don't know. What factors contributed most? Takenya, you read us the gauntlet. Out of that gauntlet of things, what do you think is the most? Do you think it's stress? Because that's what's number one on the list.
It was stress and lack of respect for who I am as a parent, who I am as a person, lack of value. You know, the value perception was a factor as well. The taking me for granted, the assuming that I'm just going to do it anyway, you know, the whole thing of like doing more with less year after year after year after year, the lack of assistance when I needed it. I'm telling you I need help with, or I'm showing you that the kids do better when those type things. That I felt like I was in the fight all by myself. There is no, well, let me just run to the teacher's lounge and holler at the same person who does what I do, because nobody else at the school do what I do. And speaking back to what Jennifer was saying about elevating campus morale, well, she's teaching a third of the kids. If that's not contributing to the overall health and wealth and mental benefits of the school, I don't know what is. So if I'm teaching the entire school K through 5, don't come at me telling me I ain't helping contribute to school morale. Because what we do, we already know. What we do is history, geography, math, science. It's so many more things than just the notes on the page.
Facts.
Ooh, can I answer the question? Ooh. So what's running music teachers away is the lack of education they're getting in their universities. And what I mean by that, I'm going to keep saying this. We go in thinking, we're just going to teach music and that's it. But when you go into the field, you have to be an administrator, you have to be a bookkeeper, you have to do all these things in order to run a program. So when you're unable to do these things, you either, it's a sink or swim situation. You reach out to mentors, teachers, you reach out to other directors, how to figure out how to do that. If your front office doesn't do that, then you're responsible for everything. I think it's the classroom management part, as well as doing all the other things besides teaching. Some of those things they're good skills for you to learn when you're running your program. Other things are just a waste of time. They're just a waste of time. Like having written assignments with, a music course, unless it's a survey course, you don't teach writing, you teach music. But what Takenya was saying, I do agree. You teach everything in music, because you're going to have to learn how to read, you have to learn how to analyze, you have to do math, you have to do all types of things in order to get your students to learn. So I think the complexity of what has to be taught is what's running music teachers away. Because going back to what I was saying about the university not telling students or teaching students what to expect, I feel like what to expect is outdated. It's outdated. And sometimes these courses are taught by teachers that haven't been in the classroom for the past 2-3 decades. So what you expect and what you see, they're different. I know that's why they have, the field, you're on the field, student teaching or whatever, but also I don't think the proper tools are given for an ever-changing education system. I think I don't know how to say it, but it's everything really. It's all encompassing between what you learn in university and then when you get into the field, it changes again. So we're going back to that.
It's all encompassing. It's a little bit, it's kind of like a perfect storm. And I think the pandemic was like Katrina. You know what I mean? Like Louisiana had issues with their what you call it, the water, the thing that keeps the water out. The levees. They had issues with levees. There were a lot of like hindsight studies and a lot of hindsight that happened. And it was kind of, when it happens, it's going to be bad. And I know like they had studies where it was like when the levees break. It wasn't if, it was like when we get that right storm, this is going to be a sugar show. And then it happens, and then everybody's scrambling around like, what happened? Why did people die in their houses? And there was perfect storms. I saw one story where a little boy, his family couldn't swim. That's a Black narrative. That's something that dates back 60 years ago that kind of caused a lot of issues, people who couldn't swim. Not saying that, you could outswim some stuff, but it was a perfect storm of lack and a lot of systemic, like you said earlier, Takenya. So at the end of the day, you put all of that sugar honey iced tea together, it's gonna stink. And now it stinks, and everybody's trying to be like, oh my God, and they still doubling down. I'm amazed. Have y'all seen some of these demands online of teach? They double down. Like, I'm like, y'all crackhead crazy. Y'all doubled down? Is that what you thought would work? Like, you put more demands on teachers? You came out the pandemic and you didn't completely take away state testing for a year or two. Like, they went straight in. My son had state testing last school year and they were still virtual. I was like, and then still tied it to teachers' evaluations and still tied it to pay. I said, y'all don't want teachers. Just say that. If you wanted to fail, just say that. And we already know, designed to fail for certain people. It was never designed to work. And so now we see the perfect storm. I think about what's going to happen when that number reaches mission critical. Because right now, I think
we there already. We already
there. As long as they could put another 23 kids in my class and know that I'm not going to walk out. Like, as long as I could use all my planning periods and they could pay you $2 to cover it, and people need money. As long as that's happening.
Well, the mission critical is hiring people in the military to become educators.
That's what I was. Yes.
That's the mission critical part.
Or police officers.
Is it that bad if military people gonna answer that call though? Because they are. There's some people answering that call. There's some non-certified, no degree having people walking into classrooms smiling at that $40,000 a year.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing a little bit because I got a little bit of a unique perspective because I was degreed when I went into the military. And military, I was a teacher who went into the military as a reservist. And the way we teach in the Army ain't the same thing in the classroom. The way we retrain and redirect, we can't tell them kids that. We can't talk to them kids like that. It's a whole nother world. I mean,
look, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I can't
It's about to be exciting.
I can't wait. I don't want none of the students to get hurt or anything. No, that's why I don't. But
I want to talk about some trauma.
I want to talk about somebody get caught on video just fussing the kid out like a drill sergeant and that type of thing, like major pain them kids.
What you looking at, ass? What you looking at? That's what I'm thinking about. We gotta start to wrap it up. We about to be silly. I don't know. It's not mission critical to me because I'm still teaching. But I'm gonna tell you, the amount of teachers in the lounge that talk about job hunting right now. Oh, they listen. If you're a parent, you better figure out a plan B, because plan A is failing. It's failing. Plan A is failing. So I got a question for the culture. For us, we all went to HBCUs. Last question of the night. Gotta wrap it up. So, Jay can make some chicken nuggets, some high class chicken nuggets with drippy sauce that he ain't even sharing a recipe. Foul, fake. Yeah, I gotta see if he's still on. He might be asleep. He like, they just run their mouth. How do HBCUs or PWI do HBCUs or PWIs better prepare their music educators for longevity in the field? And I'm just gonna tag on this. Real 21st century education. Who do you think there's better prep, HBCU or PWI?
I may be biased. I'm going to lean with HBCUs better prepare Black music educators for real world situations, because not only did you have to take music pedagogy, you also had to take adolescent psychology. You had to get that whole child environment in. But it's the being around your community. It's the being around people who have already walked that path that you're trying to walk. It's the being around people who are teaching in the places that you're most likely to be. It's the lack. It's not lack. It's the abundance of how my professor still ain't gonna let me fail, and it's been some 20 plus years. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen at PWIs. I'm not saying that doesn't happen there, but it's the culture for me.
I was going to preface the fact that I've never been to, well, no, actually going to America is my first time at a PWI. And with my program, it's not an education program, but they're pretty good at providing resources. I feel like PWIs have the resources, but HBCUs have the patience and the culture. And that comes naturally with Black people. Black educators are some of the best educators I know, especially male Black educators. They're good. I don't want to say actually, but they're good. They think they're not good, but they really are good, and they're needed in the classroom. And like Takenya said, it's that culture. And going through a collegiate HBCU band program and being in TBS and being in SAI, you have big brothers and big sisters whose high school band programs, you could be around and you could get experience by just being around that program, by playing with the students, by, doing something as small as teaching them a fingering or telling them how to play their instrument. I wish Cybil was still here, because I was helping her out with her clarinets, and I was helping her out with her low brass, because I play euphonium too. So, we have that experience. We reach down to the people that came after us. So we're really big on that. So we're big on the village. We just wish that, at least for me, I wish the education system was like the village, because you see, it's always the same story. You see some nilly person from a PWI like, yeah, I want to do Teach for America, and I want to be in the trenches, I want to help out. But then, they quit after a year or two, and, they can't handle it. It's not as easy as Michelle Pfeiffer made it on Dangerous Minds. It's not as easy as you see our freedom writers. Yeah. This is real, and either you have to get with it or you have to get off the boat. So I truly think the HBCU experience, when we say there's nothing like the HBCU experience, we mean that, because they're life skills that our professors give us that we don't get at a PWI, because PWI, they're not culturally entrenched in us as HBCUs are culturally entrenched with future Black educators. Most likely you're going to go to a Title I school or an at-risk school. So they prepare us for that. And a lot of educators, they go back to their hometowns like Jennifer does. There's a lot of people in Baltimore City Public Schools that are products of that school system. So they give back by going back. And that's the cultural aspect that PWIs are missing, that their students go back. A lot of times they go back to their original school systems to help out and to give back. So yeah, I think HBCUs, they have a one-up when it comes to educating their students on how to be educators.
I like your answer. I it's the culture for me. I think at the end of the day, it's the culture for me. Like, it's how I can look at my kids from across from like this. And everybody sit down. Like, they just will. They know what that look mean. Sit your ass down. One word. I didn't say it, but the look said it, because that's a cultural thing. That's like seeing a brother that look good.
I would whisper it. I would mouth it.
I bet you would, Takenya. That's why you got the babies in your house now, so you can be who you want to be. But for real, see, she ain't even deny it. See, peasants. That's what she calling the children, peasants. And her like, nah, she love her baby.
You got to do it like this with your teeth clenched. Like,
sit down.
I don't move nothing but an eyebrow.
Sit your ass down.
But for real, I'm gonna say this because I went to a PWI and an HBCU, and absolutely the culture for me, I learned those unspoken rules of a band director and a teacher from watching my band director do it. How you can get everybody to shut up with a whistle, like, and not like the Fox 40, like that old school. I never learned how to do it. I feel like I missed Diamond Skill 9 or whatever on, I need that skill because that skill is effective. But I gotta look. And it's those things that they don't teach in teacher education programs, music education programs, that classroom management piece. We do learn how to build relationships. But I'm gonna say PWIs, this devil's advocate, the reason I can help a lot of my brothers and sisters survive what they're going through right now is because of my PWI. Hear what I'm saying? I know every lingua, I know the lingo. I know how to make that unit plan and lesson plan daddy spark so I can get all my money. I know how to get resources because I know how to put the data where it belongs. I know how to be organized. I know how to have a website where all my parents can see what I'm actually teaching. And that works for any type of parent, black, white, purple, gray. It works across the lines that says that teacher got her shit together. People can talk a lot about me and what they think I'm a loudmouth, but I promise you, if they ever hit my DM, which they do, and ask for something, I got it in a Google Drive, organized right for you. I can send it with a click. And if you got an evaluation tomorrow, I can help you get 4s, because they are looking for the administrative part, Lauren.
Yeah.
And when it comes to us, some of our music departments aren't up to date with that because, like you said, a lot of our college professors have not been in the classroom in 2 decades.
Yeah.
Or never. Some of our college professors at our HBCUs have never been in a classroom because they got it when they were young. And back then, you didn't necessarily need 12 master degrees to get to college, get at an HBCU. A lot of my white counterparts at their PWIs, they still teach in the public school. And that keeps them connected. I ain't talking about the Teach for America, because we already know. And I know a few that stayed, but they had to learn the culture to stay. Yeah. They got theirs through the mud. And that's okay too. You earned it, boo. But let's be real. Some of our band directors, some of our music educators are quitting because they can't hack the administrative part. They don't know the rules and regulations. They don't know the laws. They don't know how not to piss off their administrator because they looking at their old school band director that used to wild out kids and it worked for them. Honey, it don't work no more. So that's all I got to say. I don't know.
Look, with the, I'm glad you said that because I feel like going to American, you learn, and I'm going to be transparent. I hope I don't offend anybody, but that was the first environment where I had to use pronouns and I had to recognize everyone else's pronouns. And we went around introducing ourselves like, you know, my name is Lauren. I go by she, her. That was new to me. But you have to be around that in an ever-changing world so you'll know how to connect with your students better. I feel like the PWIs, they teach you the policy, they teach you the paperwork, they teach you basically how the system works, how to keep yourself organized, how to dot your T's and cross your I's and all of that. But the HBCU, they teach you the culture. They teach you the culture of everything. It's good to get
relationship building is number one.
Yeah, relationship building. PWIs teach you how to network too. They're good with that. They're good with resources, how to interview. They have all these resources on how to get a job, you know, who has a job opening, connected with big companies. I'm not saying HBCUs aren't, but I feel like, because I know Morgan is connected with big companies as is American, but coming from North Carolina Central University, I didn't see those types of connections from there. So not even just HBCUs or PWIs, but different universities, you can take something away from each one of those. But I cannot stress enough that the HBCU gives you not just the HBCU, but Black culture. I'm going to say that Black culture gives you, teaches you how to build relationships with people on a different level, whether it be a team, because the way we teachers look at people, football coaches look at people, they could give a look and it'd be over. Like, I think football coaches and band directors are all the same. You talk about how Miles would just do something with a whistle. Football coaches do that. Because there's a culture within the band room, there's a culture with the football team. So you learn how to establish unwritten rules and unwritten guidelines. And even when there are a set of rules, you make sure nobody disrespects that. So applying that to your classroom, it helps with classroom management. Being a part of a team, what was I going to say? Just doing something outside of the classroom as a student. When you're a student, it helps out because it helps with management. So in Black culture is big in that. We learn it from our moms, we learn it from our aunties, our dads, our uncles. You know, there's certain things you can do and there's certain things that you can't do. And like I said, you know, certain people, they try to go into the education realm, especially with children who look like us, where the rules are different. So if you're going to go into a certain area in education, if you're going to educate children who do not look like you, you have to do a whole lot of research and you have to take your time in knowing the culture. And I'm not saying act like them because that's not good either, but just learn the culture of where you're teaching, because what you've learned may not apply to that culture, the culture of that classroom.
And that transcends, just to tag in, that transcends race. That's a region thing. I tell you.
Yeah, I feel like PWIs, you know, and I am generalizing. I have a child who's attending a PWI right now. I got a kid in college. Oh my God. He's at the University of Texas at Austin. They have a fantastic band, you know. But I feel like PWIs prepare you for perfect ISD, perfect independent school district. And I feel like HBCUs, and I am generalizing, prepare you for pitfall ISD. So you can learn from both.
I think you need both if you're going to stay in this field. If not, then, it just might be the right decision not to be in this field. And that's okay too. Like, I don't want this to feel like demonizing people for wanting to quit or have ever quit it. Because I started out, I said, I quit. I definitely did walk out. I said, after that, I said, nope, I'm done. But there's got to be a balance. And I think why we are losing people is the balance has been tilted too far to the left. It's just too far. And people are running out of reasons to stay. Because the kids ain't cutting it. That ass ain't cutting it no more, y'all. Like that shit ain't working. Like for the kids, yeah, but then people like me be like, what about my kid that ain't never been to nothing after school? I had to learn that lesson. What about my kid? My kid he just joined karate after asking me for like 2 years, because now I'm free enough to do it. Am I still in music education? Yes. Am I still band directing stuff? Hey, I'm conducting the honor band in a month. Probably going to conduct another honor band, just kind of maybe got another offer. Like I'm still, and they kids that look like me, I'm still in the trenches. I'm teaching teachers. I'm teaching future band directors. That's literally what I do now. At a PWI. But they're not all white. Not all of those babies in my class are white. And it's starting to look more and more diverse across all lines. So I think we can stand to have a lot of that training across the lines on both sides. I feel like that's why I always say I'm divergent. It really pisses me off when people try to say, oh, you like this. It's like, you don't know what I'm like. I'm like successful. That's what I'm like. I'm like wanting to be successful. And I don't want to quit. I will be promoted. I will move to a different opportunity. But I think I know enough now not to be in a situation like my first year's teaching. But my first year's teaching is like a lot of people's first year's teaching. And so I get it. But, we got to go, y'all. It's almost 8 o'clock. I think this was a good one. I don't know if anybody left in the chat, want to say anything, want to mic up. But, if not, the doors of the church are open. I got this taco that I made with the drizzle sauce. I don't know what it's called. We got to dip it in there. Somebody let me know. Somebody of the culture where you dip tacos in that drizzle sauce. Let me know what it's called.
They're called Maria tacos, but I don't even know if it's other culture. I got to refer to somebody, but yeah.
Yeah, I need somebody to tell me, because I made a knockoff brand. It's a great value type style, but it's good. And it's been looking at me. I've been looking at it. So thank you for joining us, Diary of a Lady Band Director. Please hit like, subscribe, share. Listen, share this. Put the link in one of your other groups, especially music educators. You can share it. You ain't, go back, listen to it on your way to work. And
heavy on the like button.
Heavy.
Only one person liking it. I think it's me. Sad.
Shit, I ain't afraid. I like my own shit. I'll put
There you go.
I like my own shit. All right. Good evening. Thank you for being there. Thank you, the man behind the scenes. Is Mr. Luke. This music sounds gangster.
Yeah, it is. It's cute.
Okay, it's more like Tetris.
Is it Tetris? No, it has a little bong to it.
Yeah, it's got a little bop to it. But
this is like the benediction of the church.
Yes, the doors of the church are open.
May the Lord watch.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. See, I can say that to my sisters on here.
And the other while we're apart. Amen.
We dumb. Good night, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye.